Okay, so now we're going to make it so we can import CSS files into our JavaScript. And we need to install two things for this, the CSS loader and the style loader. So we're going to come down to the terminal here. Let's say npm install, or I, and I'm going to do -D because, again, these are dev dependencies. These are for our development environment. And let's say style-loader and CSS-loader. Okay, so when you install a loader, you have to configure it. So that happens in the Webpack config. So we're going to jump into that file, and there's an object that we need to create called module. That's where our loaders go. So after output, which ends right here, let's go under that and let's say module, and that's going to be an object. And then there's an array called rules that we have to create. And this is where our loaders go. So each loader will have an object. I shouldn't say each, but where we want to create our rules, which can also have multiple loaders. So in this case, we're going to use both the style loader and the CSS loader. So there's two properties we need to add here. One is test, and this is basically a regular expression. Where do you want this loader to apply? And in our case, it's going to be for any file that ends with .css. So we're going to use a regular expression here. Regular expressions are put in between two front slashes or forward slashes. And then we want to do \.css and then a money sign, which means that it should end with .css. So basically this, whatever we put in the next property or the next value for this use property will be used in any file that matches this regular expression, which is anything that ends with a .css file. So we want to have an array here of, first of all, style-loader, and then we want to have another string here, which is CSS-loader. All right, and that's it. So basically, again, we're looking for any file that ends with .css, and we want to apply the style loader and CSS loader. So let's go ahead and save this. And then what I'm going to do is in my source folder, I'm going to then create a folder called CSS, or you call it styles, whatever you want. And then I'm going to create a style.css file. And in this file, I'm just going to say body, background, and I'm going to set the background to purple, and I'll set the text color to white. So that's all I'm going to add. It doesn't matter. We're not building an interface here. We're building an environment. So I just want to make sure this works. So now what we can do, since we have the loader, is we can come back into our, we can close that up. We can come back into our index.js, and I should be able to simply import our style sheet. So we'll say import./CSS, and then it's style.css. Now, if I save it, we're not going to see anything happen because, remember, we have to rebuild. So let's run npm run build, and now we have a purple background. So you can create CSS files and simply import them into your JavaScript, and it all gets bundled in. If I look at my production file, my bundle.js, and I search for purple, there it is. All right, so now we don't have to include it in our index.html, and we don't have to include any style sheets in our dist folder because it's all bundled. Remember, Webpack will take images, SAS files, CSS files, TypeScript files, JSX. You can set up all these different languages and technologies, and you can just have it all bundled into your JavaScript. So your production files is very clean, right? What you're actually uploading to the server. All right, so now that we've done that, I think that this is a good place to set up the HTML plugin, so that way we could totally delete this dist folder and our HTML would get regenerated as soon as we run npm run build.